My name is Mike Smith. I'm a major gift officer with Episcopal Relief Development, and I had the pleasure last year of visiting Kenya, Western Kenya, where we partner with a local group called ADS Nyanza. And we visited several villages and met a lot of people. And this is the first place we arrived in Homa Bay County in far western Kenya. We got sort of a hero's welcome, which felt a little odd because we weren't heroes, but people loved to have us come visit, and they sang and they danced and they escorted us up the hill and around the corner and into the living room of one of the families who lived there. And everyone met each other. We started with a prayer. We were formally welcomed, and then everybody went around the room and said hello and gave their name. Then we all went outside and sat under a big shade tree and heard from individuals in the community. And there were a lot of great stories. This one woman we met has a clothing business, and she's a widow and would have had to rely on the village to take care of her if not for this small business that she was able to start through a loan from her community savings group. We met a couple who are part of our poultry farming program, and you can see they look pretty happy to be in this program. It helps them learn how to raise poultry and also about selling the eggs and selling the chickens, and it's working out really well for them. We met with a savings group in this village, and the savings groups are increasingly an important part of all of our programs because it's a great way for a community to share its wealth and to create some capital. And in most of the areas, these are subsistence farmers who have very few assets. So learning how to create what is essentially a small bank for their community really helps empower people in the village. And they will put in their often very modest amounts of money. But if 100 people participate, then they have a pretty good pot of cash to loan to each other, to collect interest on, to collect late fees on. They make up the rules. They keep very meticulous records in a ledger. Everyone participates. Everyone takes this very seriously, and it works. And many, many people have been able to start small businesses as a result. One woman I met is a young widow. She's in her early 50s, and she was able to start a maize business, which is a food staple in Kenya. And she buys it at one price, marks it up slightly, and makes enough profit to take care of herself. And with women in particular, in many of the countries we work in, women often have a low social status. And the savings groups really do help to empower them and give them a chance to show what they can do. And often the women's businesses produce the money that's necessary to send their children to school. So one night I was able to spend the night with a family, Luke and Willie Kister Karan, and their young adult son. And they are farmers, and he is a teacher as well, and in fact has taught children throughout this village for 30 years. And so he knows everybody, and he's well respected. He's a gregarious guy. He's got a great smile, and he and his wife poke fun at each other and seem to have, a really fun kind of relationship. She's a great cook. She prepared a feast one night for the men as we were able to sit around and solve the problems of the world while she worked. And it was it was really a fun 24 hours to get to see a little bit about how they live. The day starts very early, earlier than I could get up, and includes feeding the chickens at Luke's mother's house. This is Luke's son doing that part of the work. And Luke and his brother were preparing the fields for planting maize. This was early spring, right after the rains, and the fields were moist and ready to be planted. And that starts early in the morning as well. And then Luke teaches after that for most of the rest of the day. They're a great family, and they were wonderful hosts to me, and I was very fortunate to be able to spend some time with them. So we visited a health clinic in the village, and women come from all around for all manner of health care. But when we were there this day, there was a group of HIV positive mothers who are getting the antiretroviral drugs that they need to stay healthy, and learning to support each other and about how they can keep their young children and infants from getting the disease. And this is a great fear in an area where there's a lot of HIV. But one of the things they learn in this group and through this clinic is that breastfeeding, for example, is a way to keep their children healthy, because through the breast milk, the babies get the same drugs that are keeping the moms healthy. And all of these women, and we met about 17 or 18 of them in this group, were HIV positive, but the disease was under control, and all of their children were healthy. So there were a lot of happy moms. One of the biggest parts of our program in Kenya is passion fruit farming. Passion fruit produces a delicious juice that Kenyans love, and people the world over who've tried it, I think also really enjoy. So it's a crop that grows well in this climate, and it's a cash crop. So there's the opportunity for farmers to really make some extra money. And the women in particular have become sort of the surgeons here in this process of grafting the drought-resistant plants onto local trees, which is part of the not just the passion fruit farming, but the overall farming program. So these are all farmers themselves, all of these people in the blue uniforms, and they volunteer to work in this operation. The guy who heads this used to work for the Ministry of Agriculture, and he decided, they're not paying me enough to do this. I should go home and teach my own people how to do this. And that's what he did. And there are now literally hundreds, 450-something farmers participating in this program. And while I was there one day, seeing the greenhouse and talking to the people who are producing these seedlings, growing these seedlings, an older woman farmer from who knows how far away shows up with her wheelbarrow to pick up her passion fruit seedlings. And she was all business. She came hustling in and picked out her plants. They loaded her up, and off she went. And I had to sprint to get far enough ahead of her to make this picture of her wheeling them back down the road. I stayed with another family, Zadok and Mary, and Mary has been involved in the passion fruit business for some time, and she did so well at it that she earned enough money to buy a couple of goats. They have 4 children they're trying to educate, so there's a lot of school fees. They're subsistence farmers like most of the other participants in our program. And Mary did so well that Zadok decided, maybe I should get into this too. And so he's joined her, and they're both raising passion fruit and doing very well. I spent a great evening eating another feast with with a couple of neighbors and their children, and was really moved by the hospitality that they showed me. Like most of these farms, they have a bathroom that's separate and consists of a bucket shower basically. But I was asked what kind of shower do I like, and I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, hot, warm, cold, and I didn't know I'd had a choice. I assumed I was going to have a cold bucket shower, and I said, well, I kind of like a warm shower. Is that possible? So Mary spent some time heating up the water, and I had a hot shower. So it was a great experience to spend 24 hours with them. They're a very warm and welcoming family, and everybody pitches in to help with the chores. And it was just I felt like it was a real privilege to spend some time with them.
Land like for you?
Well, it's a beautiful place. This part of Kenya is rolling hills. It's great farmland. You can grow huge varieties of crops. The landscape is really unspoiled in a way that we're not used to in this country. There are no franchises, there are no power lines, there's no billboards, there's just breathtaking views like this that make you want to get up with the sun so you can record it. And it's a very sort of clean and crisp and peaceful kind of place that is just very pleasant to be in. Well, the great thing about being able to visit a program like this firsthand, for me, is it just becomes very real. You when you meet people who are participating in these programs and you see the difference it makes in their lives, it makes you realize, wow, that's why we do this work. It's not just we're not throwing money at a problem. We're helping people help themselves, and they are. They are hardworking people who are not looking for handouts, but they want to take care of their families, just like us. They want to educate their children and feed their families and provide some measure of security, and we can help them do that.